Woo! Hello, gang. How are we?
Hello.
Hello. Oh, so excited. I'm throwing my earphones everywhere. Hi. Hello, world. I am DM Dan, and we are the explorers of elsewhere. Hi. Julia, Errol, JC, Nate, and Meg. How you all doing?
Bonjour.
Good.
Yeah, good.
Amazing. We have come to a rather quiet episode. This will be it is a score episode, but it's going to be a quiet one. I reckon it's going to be a chill, easy, just like delivering bread and milk. I reckon.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, it's going to be nice, isn't it?
Paper round. That's what it is.
Yeah. You paper round to get some pocket money for the fair at the weekend. Psych! It's a prison break. It's going to be carnage, and I'm here for it. Are you?
I was, but now I'm not sure. Now I'm scared.
With that rousing applause of enthusiasm, shall we jump into the title?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Welcome to Elysia, the jewel of the North. On our gilded streets, fortune and fame can be found by anyone.
Hi, I'm Julia, and I'm playing Magpie, an ace of our lurk.
Hi, I'm Nate, and I'm playing Cavern, a dragon-scent slide.
Hi, I'm Meg. I'm playing Frida, a wolfkin cutter.
Hi, I'm JC, and I'll be playing Algernon, an ace of our spider.
Hello, I'm Errol. I am playing Atta, a goblin whisperer.
And my name is DM Dan. I will be the games master on this adventure.
So come on in and marvel at our wonders. Make sure you see the beautiful views we have to offer, and don't mind the ghosts. They're friendly, really. Grab yourselves a seat and make yourselves welcome in the city of Elysia.
The emergence of the sanguivar not long after Elysia's banishment to the void was perhaps somewhat overshadowed by the enormity of the city's overall plight. But as the people painfully began to adjust to their new surroundings, many questions began to bubble to the surface. Why them? Why now? Why the colour blood red? Whilst whispers and rumours began to circulate through the city, the children of Aya were the first to publicly address the change. That all afflicted bore some mark of shame for their connection to the High House Antalir, or one of the other great Aetavar houses whom had cast their lot in with a Khan the Betrayer. Whilst public sentiment didn't turn against the Sanguivar population as drastically as some feared, or perhaps hoped, many in the city found themselves definitively othered. And now, as the integrity of the Vale wanes, they find themselves at the centre of a storm of conflict, which may define their future in the city. And so, where do we find 5 crew members living life somewhat larger with the recent expansion of your network?
I would have thought we'd probably be at Cadwallader Manor questioning Musto, right? And finding out, or at least Algernon. Maybe Algernon's already done that?
Where in the manor might Algernon be found with his best friend, Musto Varn?
I think he's taking him out the old nursery, and through the master bedroom. You know you wanted an ensuite, my man. Well, here's mine.
Oh,
apologies for the smell.
This is. He goes to say, "This is lovely," but he stops himself as the door kind of swings open, and he's hit with the strong kind of acrid smell that stings his eyes. And he pinches his nose. Good God, Algernon, what are you killing in here?
This is where I come to see the future, Musto. Perhaps you could help me with
I'm surprised you
that
could
one.
see another morning with this stink.
Quite well. Perhaps you could help me see the more immediate future and clue me into your little plan with the cobbles regarding Belltower.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering when we were coming to that. Right. Yeah, and he looks around for somewhere to sit and then just sort of like shuffles across the bathroom, puts the toilet seat down, and then just kind of sits on that. Right, so, and he kind of pulls out a folded bit of paper from his jacket pocket. Just to check, you are like, are we like co-owning this? Are we? Because we're both going in, right? And I assume we're both coming out at the same time. So I guess because we're such like good friends, I suppose it would make sense if you and like me and like your people and my people, we all just, and he like interlocks his fingers and wiggles them slightly.
Yes, it's a merger, Musto. I think you might have to sit out though, because remember you are supposed to be dead.
This is true, and it really pains me that I can't be there on the front lines alongside you, Algernon, but don't worry, I will oversee this operation from afar.
The front lines of what operation? Come out with it, man.
Okay, well, I mean, tell you what, why? It sounds like because you've always got a plan, right? So why don't you tell me what you're going to do, and then we can compare notes.
Well, I suppose I doubt my plan would pale in significance to your masterwork. But I suppose my idea was that there's always one way inside Belltower.
Mm-hmm.
And then once there are a couple of us on the inside, we can orchestrate things.
And just so we're both clear, so we're on the same page, when you say there's one way into the prison, what way are you thinking of?
Well, for me it would be the traditional way one enters a prison in shackles.
Right, yeah.
And then I was hoping you'd help me fill in the rest.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we can, but it's curious actually because, well, I mean, my original plan was me and one of my confidants, Dodgy Tom. Like we're wanted by quite a lot of people, so we were actually gonna like offer ourselves up for arrest, so we could like be on the inside, and then the rest of the crew could begin their part of the plan. So it sounds like what was your next step?
I see. I think I'd like to flash forward to the end of this conversation.
Sure. And in which case, Musto, he's got this his tiny eyes are wide in shock, and there's a little bit of glee, and he's, wouldn't you know it, Algernon, it would appear that we've just written the exact same plan, he says. So basically, I was going to get myself nicked, but I can't now because apparently I'm dead. And Dodgy Tom ain't got the clout to go in on his own. But then the cobbles were going to go in via the tunnels, right? And we were going to set off a couple of explosions as a distraction. Then we're going to go in and then kind of rendezvous after I picked up all the sanguivars. And then we were going to hightail it out the towers, out the tunnels, onto a flotilla of boats and barges to sail us away to safety and secret keeping.
Perfect, and I'll make sure to tell everybody that it was your plan.
Thank you. But Algernon, you do notice in this moment, you've noticed he hasn't had a pen in his hand, but he does appear to have some very poorly spelt, but scribbled notes on this parchment of paper in the rough approximation of what he's just said. And I mean, I'll leave it with you as to whether there's a horrible creeping dread that you've had the almost identical plan to Mustovan, or whether he's actually a genius, the same level of genius that you hold yourself at.
Uh-oh.
Well, even a blind pig might find a truffle occasionally, Musto.
He sort of like nods. Oh, it's been a while since I've had a truffle, he says, completely missing the point. Do you mind if we go in, like, I assume that's your bed out there. If we could both sit there, I'm going a bit lightheaded with all of this pong.
You know what? Go to town on it. Have the master bedroom.
Oh, marvellous, he says. And you watch as he, like, scoots past you quite quickly and then just kind of starfish jumps onto the end of the bed. And I can only imagine there's a slight chill that runs up your spine as he kind of turns over and, like, scoots up the bed, leaving wet, dirty footprints from the heels of his boots as he slides up the bed before, he says. So yes, it would appear that Musto's plan, which curiously is very similar to your own,
Definitely
he can't
should have
do it
dropped
now.
him in the river, shouldn't we? We should just left him in the bag, dropped him in the river.
Curiously, it seems very similar to yours. Involves getting some of the gang arrested, so you can work from, like, two angles, both from the inside job and also going through the tunnels, which he did remark would be, well, the thing we got to remember about the tunnels is that they're full of those, like, massive mice. So, we got to make sure that we've got, like, a strong light source at all times, or a fire or something, just to keep those little pricks away from us. Because the last thing you want to do is be in those tunnels in the dark. He's also got an idea for like a slight diversion in the form of some explosives. Poppy Tom was gonna be sorting that out, and just kind of draw the attention away from the guards while the sanguivar make their escape. So, with that in mind, Magpie, what information are you gathering for this score?
I think we had the idea that Magpie, being an Asavar, could be a good candidate for going in with Algernon.
Mm-hmm.
And Nate, you had quite a clever idea, didn't you? That could be my kind of score preparation work, as it were.
Is there a way that Magpie can talk to Nephine and see if she has some sort of magic that will turn Magpie's eyes red? Considering that that's something that she obviously does at the moment with her own eyes.
Because, like, if Magpie could go in effectively in disguise as a sanguivar, that could ease the way in for her. And then I don't know what she's going to do about her lockpicking tools. We might have to call a flashback for that, or arrange it. Depending on what other preparations we make, that could probably be arranged. But
we could always use the old prison wallet.
Yeah, thanks, Meg. Thanks, Meg.
Yeah, keep YouTube safe.
Magpie is on that. Yeah, seriously.
Well, with that in mind, if you want to approach Nephine.
I will approach Nephine with my spectacular scores in such skills as sway and consort. It's going to go real well.
Whereabouts in the city are you, like, planning on meeting her? Where would you? You doing it in private, in public?
Oh, probably in private, I imagine. Maybe. Yeah. How did she tell us we could reach out to her last time we met?
Well, I mean, now you know who she is. Like, that in turn also comes with the idea of where her I suppose she'd so you know that she resides within, like, you know where she lives in the city.
Oh, okay.
You know,
cool.
She, like, her, it would be the holdings from her like father's side
Okay,
married into
sure.
House
Yeah.
Antley. But you
So I
can go
guess-
see her at her.
Yeah,
her,
I would
like-
reach out for an audience with Nefene.
Okay.
And
In which case, yeah, it's swiftly granted, and before you know it, you find yourself on the clean, somewhat empty streets of Spire Park. And are you going? Like, is this a morning job?
sure. Yeah.
Okay. In which case, yeah, as you make your way through, you can see, like at this time, you can see the morning very few people on the streets, bar sort of like the lamplighters who are going round, and you see them casting like cantrip spells on these kind of magical lampposts to light them up, which helps to diffuse the purple kind of glow from the area, but it kind of introduces the idea that it is daytime.
Right.
Yeah, you very quickly find yourself at the front doors of the Ravabella mansion.
Okay.
Where you are shown in. Nefene like greets you. She hands you some rather like she greets you in a meeting room. There are plush kind of plush deep green curtains with gold filigree detailing. There's this aura of opulence that makes even your home feel quite mundane by comparison. And you notice as she walks in, she's not concealing the color of her eyes like she was when you first met her. And she like greets you and then takes a seat opposite you as one of the waiting staff come in offering you like rather fragrant mushroom tea.
Lovely. Gotta love that mushroom tea.
How can I help you, Ms. Ravel?
I explained to her sort of what I need to, basically, that I'm, you know, it is as part of our next score where we're hoping to help out the sanguivar at Belltower. I require some assistance with disguising myself as a sanguivar, and can she help me with that?
I see. I'm sure, given the benefactors of your efforts, I'm sure I could help. How are you doing this? Are you swaying, consorting?
I mean, either. I've got one pip
Wrecking?
in both. Definitely not wrecking. I mean, I very much doubt I'm skirmishing for this. It's probably a consort, I suppose.
Okay. In which case, please roll me a gather information. Roll it. If you're using your consort, it's 1 dice. You can push yourself. Devil's bargain. She will want some very interesting information in return. Some very personal, private information. For security purposes, you understand.
Who would this information be about?
You and your crew.
Well, I fully understand why you need to collect assurances like this. However, it would very much depend on the nature of the information. Of course, I need to look out for the well-being of my crew at all times.
Just something that a little secret of your crew's that would pique my interest. Perhaps new friends that you have recently made.
So, just as Julia, is she talking about things like our new crew members or like other factions? Like, what does she seem to be talking about?
She just wants like some juicy gossip that she could use as blackmail.
Oh, cool.
So something that she can hold over you that will ensure that, like, if something goes wrong, you are dissuaded from pointing the finger at her because she'll already have a loaded gun.
I mean, she's already got a fair humdinger against me personally, hasn't she?
Mm-hmm.
like
she wants one against your whole crew.
What kind of thing can anyone think of? What sort of thing might fit for this?
The framing.
Master's alive.
Master's alive. Yes, I could tell her that, couldn't I? I could. Yeah, I tell her that we have. You may have heard of the untimely death of the boss of the Cobbles, Mustovan, recently.
Yes, that I have.
Would it surprise you to find out he is currently alive and well within our care?
She stirs her tea and then just lets out a little titter of a laugh. It would not surprise me at all. That creature is a cockroach that skitters around and is impossible to kill. But that you are in custody of him is rather tantalizing. She nods. That's a devil's bargain, so you can have
Fab.
+1.
So I've got 2 dice basically for this,
Yeah.
unless I push myself, in which case
2 dice gather information.
2 dice. Okay, let's go for it. 5.
Okay.
A resounding 5.
So, well, we say gather information. It's more of a sort of like in the sense, I guess, almost a fortune roll type thing. But she nods and she beckons you closer, and with the arcane crystal prosthesis arm, you see her sort of like her fingers contort into peculiar ways as she begins muttering something like under her breath, and suddenly like you feel your eyes begin to sting, and then she clicks. There's a click of her fingers, and then like the stinging begins to stop, and she gestures to a mirror over the fireplace, and as you peer and look, you notice that your eyes are bright red.
Oh boy. I ask her how long this will last. With realising I should have probably asked beforehand.
Well, she tells you like 24 hours.
Sure. And it's presumably it's fairly soon we're doing this. It's like early hours of the morning
tonight,
next day or something. Yeah, sometime tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Lovely. I thank her and take my leave.
Who's next up on the gather information?
I'd like to do a gather information, and I would like to invite someone from the gang to maybe, help me out. I think it would be a good idea to find out what other factions across the city have got a close eye on Bellevue, is it? The prison? Belltower, sorry. So to find out, who else has got a close eye on the Belltower. Clearly the Faith has anticipated something already, because otherwise they wouldn't have sent us after Musto. But who else has got, a stake in it, essentially?
Like the garden keepers, for example, who put the vines around it recently.
Yeah.
So, who is it you're taking with you? How is it you're getting the info? Where is it you're getting the info?
I'm hoping hoping maybe Catherine might want to come along.
Would be more than happy to.
As someone who can essentially possibly speak to the highborn while I speak to the lowborn.
Sure.
You know, the sort of, you can do the highbrow carousing while I, intimidate some scumbags. But it's going to be like a bit of a, I guess, I want to gather as much information as possible using all sources available to me. So that's, the fighting pits, the drinking holes, the word on the street, the gossipers, the new, the sort of the journalists, the what's going around in the brothels, what's
So more of a consort?
Yeah, I think I definitely use consort on this.
Okay. And so how's Catherine helping out?
If Frida's taking the low road, I can take the high road. You were saying that, the garden keepers are involved. Maybe I can go and sort out how to chat with them. I'm guessing somewhere in my past I may have had some sort of chats with the garden keepers.
Sure. So fundamentally, you're both consorting, just in different places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you can take the faith and I don't know.
I don't really know the chain bearers in any sort of way, personally.
No.
You've met Odelmers before.
Maybe I'd be able to get somewhere in either the underworld and maybe a little bit of the Forsworn, because I at least know whereabouts they hang out. Or at least, a lot of the Forsworn. But yeah, it's just general gossip.
Sure. Okay, well, in which case, let's call that gather information consorts on both of your parts. Again, you can push yourselves for 2 stress, but it's 2 dice base for you for the gather informations, and I will offer you both devil's bargains that, regardless of what happens, one of the factions that you've been kind of snooping into begin snooping back.
It's okay. I don't mind.
Yeah, you don't mind.
Okay, so who? Frida's taking the devil's bargain?
I won't take the devil's bargain.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
In which case, 2 dice and 3 dice.
What if they snoop and they find out about Tavarian?
We can't have the Forsworn knowing about Tavarian.
No.
Might not be the Forsworn, might be the underworld. Ooh. So when you're ready, dice on the left, 2 or 3 dice.
Well, now I feel like maybe I shouldn't take the devil's bargain.
There might be there's going to be plenty of devil's bargains you can take.
I do want to know. Yeah, this is true. Maybe I won't. I won't then. However,
what would Frida do?
No, I won't take the devil's bargain this time, because I'm sure there's plenty of reckless moments to come for Frida to take the devil's bargain. But I do wonder whether I can use one of my abilities, which is bodyguard, and that allows me to get 1+1 effect when I gather info to anticipate possible threats. And that's essentially what I want to do, anticipate possible threats to our thingy.
Yeah, no, that sounds good. Okay, so in that case, 3 dice for Frida, 2 dice for Catherine. If you go ahead and roll those.
Cool. 3 dice, gather information.
So a 4 for Catherine.
Yay. And a 6 for Frida.
6 for Frida. Okay, so Catherine, you're targeting the faith and the pillars, like the high society, if you will. What questions would you like me to answer? And you get some clarifying or follow-up questions off the back of it.
What questions do we want to know, gang? Do we want to know who else is currently keeping a close eye on Belltower?
Yeah.
Who is interested in
the tunnels?
Yeah, maybe that would be one for me, rather than the tunnels.
Can we find out about the layout of the tunnels under Belltower? Would that be in any record offices anywhere?
That might have to be something else. That might have to be a different.
I think that's just come into my head. That's another thing to check out.
Yeah. So, who also is keeping an eye on Belltower at the moment, like the activity of Belltower? And I guess who else is interesting on the mass of sanguivar that are now being arrested and kept in Belltower?
So. Okay, tell you what I'll do. I'll answer those questions, but pick a faction for me to answer for. So do you want answers for the pillars or answers for the faith?
I'm gonna go for the faith.
Okay.
Can I challenge that? Because I kind of feel like we might already know what the faith want. The faith obviously want the sanguivar to stay in the prison. Because
be dead.
Yeah, / be dead, because otherwise they wouldn't have sent us after Musto to stop him from doing pretty much the same plan as what we're doing. So maybe it'd be better if we found out what the pillars wanted. Because at the moment they're the unknown.
Okay, we'll go for the pillars then.
That
sounds good. That sounds good to me.
I have to be counter-challenged on that.
No. I am happy to go with that. Let's go with the pillars then.
Okay, so you find out that, curiously, the pillars don't actually have that much vested interest in like this hubbub that's building around Belltower prison. Primarily because, you know that Magpie's spoken to Nefene and the lodge seem relatively hands off. The tellers are busy kind of resecuring their control over Old Town, having recently ousted the Cobbles. But you would have thought that perhaps Odalmerce would have been, somewhat interested. But it would seem that over the past few nights, the chainbearers have been reeling after systematic and sustained assaults from the shield bearers. It would appear that Odalmerce and Zar Martok are fundamentally at war with one another, and the shield bearers have just been hammering them. So a lot of Odalmerce's holdings have been ransacked and attacked. There's just been running battles in the street. Rumours are that shield bearers are almost tracking down guild merchants and then brutalizing them, but not killing them, but making sure, fundamentally leaving them in full public display as a message that the shield bearers are after the chain bearers. And whilst Odalmerce has, and as you have all seen, this relatively highly trained mercenary army, they're just unable to react to these attacks quick enough, as they just they come in. They're mainly almost attacking the civilians, quote unquote, and then disappearing before the mercenaries can retaliate. So it would, the faith seems very, very active, but the pillars currently are just massively on the defensive. They're not able to do a whole lot of anything right now.
That's good to know, because maybe we can use that chaos as a way of essentially creating a bigger distraction in the city.
I mean, if we drew some chain bearers to Belltower or around it, maybe then shield bearers can the shield can then cause some trouble that will cause a distraction.
A ruckus.
Catherine, do you feel like it might be worthwhile spreading rumours in the chain bearers' midst?
What rumours are you thinking?
People have got fancy items, maybe? They like a fancy item, don't they, the chain bearers? They like a magical item.
They do like
maybe a special crown.
So start spreading some rumours that say the chain bearers around Belltower, they've got a fancy crown to get the shield to come out. Is that what you're thinking?
Or like maybe it's about all the Faith have found a fancy crown when they were defending the outside the Veil. Like I've heard they've got, just I guess it's like running interference, like trying to pitch them off of each other. Is that the right word? No, pit them. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm up for that.
Okay. We'll tell you what. How would you go about kind of disseminating this rumor? Would you which ability are you using to do that?
I would probably guess sway. I would be using that sway. To nonchalantly drop it into conversation with all these people that I'm probably having conversations with.
Okay. In which case, roll me a really quick, risky standard sway. 5. So you do it, but there's a consequence. You suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect. Well, we'll certainly... So I'll mark down that I need a complication. So yeah, we'll mark that down as a success. So your rumour mongering has managed to reach suitable ears and people within, certainly has reached Odomerce's ears. So you wonder if perhaps, Odomerce will retaliate in some way to strike back at the shield bearers, especially if they have this powerful magical artifact, which will not do. Okay, swinging back to Frida, you got a success, so I'm going to say you get info for both of your factions, the Underworld and the Forsworn. Songbird still hasn't been seen, but you do hear rumours that she is down but not out, and she is still doing her best to sort of pull strings as best she can in the background. The problem is that in the raid by the EIC on her holdings, quite a few of her operatives have been kind of apprehended, and have they're fundamentally out of action. So you've heard that Songbird is getting a little bit desperate, to the point where it's not something she usually does, but there are rumours that she herself might be striding up to the front line, in effect, to get stuff done, simply because there's no one else to do it. So, you hear that she's been pushed into getting her own hands dirty. The Ornashi seem suspiciously, quiet about the prison break. They just seem to be very, hands-off with it. You wonder, I don't know whether you consider that odd or not, but yeah, they don't seem to be getting all too involved. And obviously the Cobbles are kind of spiraling and panicking because the boss has disappeared and they don't know what's up or down. With the Forsworn, the Kindling are also, suspiciously, quite hands-off. There seems to be almost no Kindling movement around this, around Belltower right now. You'd have heard that on the kind of the boundary between Dustry Hill and the Spire, there was a rather gruesome murder scene, and it appeared that this sort of Lorivar male was caught on the bridge between Dustry Hill and the Spire Park, and the terminology that's used is ripped to shreds.
Oh boy.
And off the bat, you've rolled a success. Some of the the follow-up detail you get from it, you can't help. Well, who would you be? I assume all this info is getting relayed to everyone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Frida, the descriptions that you're given sound suspiciously close to the EIC agent that cornered Cavern, Magpie, and Atta a few nights ago. It would appear that Magpie, Atta, and Cavern, you wonder if that thing that you encountered managed to catch up, well, seemingly has caught up with this EIC agent. And finally, the Hollow seem to have very recently completed some sort of project, and there's now talk of implementation, of testing, of rolling it out for all intents and purposes. So yeah, you can do some follow-up questions off the back of those.
I suppose my main concern would be this project by the Hollow. Mm-hmm. Whether the implementation might overlap with our own implementation of plans. Other date. Are people talking about dates? Are people talking about this is imminent, this is immediate, this is this is big? What areas of the city it's going to affect? That sort of stuff.
You hear that, as far as the Hollow are concerned, this will impact the city as a whole, because the birth of the Hollow Man is one that will forever change Elysia.
Lovely. If only my crew hadn't have gone with dodgy dealings with them. I know that.
One more follow-up question, and then we'll move on.
I'll put this one out to the group. Does anyone have any suggestions for follow-ups?
If you take the ghost that I've been trying to safely release to the Hollow, do you think you might get a sneaky peek, a better look at what's going on? And try and sell it. I don't want you to. I want to release the ghost friend, but if it helps us understand what this Hollow Man is, then...
Wait, take Tavarien there? Is that what you mean?
No, we've got another ghost. Yeah, we've got an NPC ghost in a bottle that I've been trying to figure out how to release safely.
It's the ghost of the shield bearer lady, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. From
the very angry one from Dustry Hill.
I think character-wise, Frida will want to stay as far away from the Hollow as physically possible, because the thought of running into Caleb quite literally terrifies her, even if she doesn't tell people that. So I'm not sure she would do that, but maybe I could find out whether any of those factions, or specifically the more dangerous ones, like the Hollow, or the murderer that's going around ripping people to shreds.
Who you have found out is being referred to as the Orchestra.
The Orchestra. Are any of them hanging out in the tunnels at the moment?
Yes.
Oh.
It would appear that this Hollow Man is using the tunnels to move through Elysia undetected.
Oh, great. That's just what we need. Okay, cool.
Super cool.
Well, that's something to look out for.
Yeah. Okay, what about Atta or Algernon? What sort of info would you like to gather? Or Algernon, are you wanting to hold fire until you're in the prison to gather info?
If Atta wants to do something, then she can go first.
Sure.
Otherwise, yeah.
Go, Atta, go!
Go, Atta, go! That's what Atta says every morning in the mirror for the broken mirror of affirmations.
Yes.
Cute.
So I have a few ideas, I suppose. My first idea is to supplement if anyone else is intending to kind of do a study roll for trying to figure out if there's like records of the tunnels, I can do that, but I could do that, but I'm also, my idea is to, with Asma, go somewhere near the tunnels, and Asma has like a reasonable sort of supply of regular rats, and maybe put a tracker on that rat and send it into the tunnels and see how far it goes to like try and map the tunnels, like Atta style.
Atta style.
Because then if a big rat eats it, it's still going to have the tracker inside it, and then it's just like, well, actually, it's going to continue to be tracked. So it's like win-win.
Okay. This, I mean, that sounds quite tinkery.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I can tinker it.
Okay. Yeah, so that'll be a 2 dice gather info. So I guess almost you're kind of like cartographizing some of the tunnels per the savage food chain, the very short and cyclical food chain of the rats of the tunnels underneath Elysia.
Yeah, I'm also happy to do a study roll for other information as well, unless somebody like Algie, you wanted to do a study roll to, or like your Fairfax connections. Up to Yao.
I'm gonna go and meet with Fairfax in my.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, so Atta, 2 dice gather information from the left-hand side. Let's say.
Can Asma help me?
Asma can help. You know what? Asma will help. So that's
stress.
plus 1 dice. Devil's bargain. Whatever results you do get aren't as trustworthy and accurate as you're hoping they will be. Like you'll get a 75% accurate result. Like, so for example, you might expect to turn left and there is no left, there is only a right.
So yeah, the Devil's Bargain gives me more of a chance to get like to cap at 75% by adding an extra dice, whereas I could get 100% if I rolled well.
Correct.
Roll well. Just
roll well.
Well.
Just roll well. I mean, everybody's rolled so well so far, so I'm like, it's Atta's time to shine. And roll shit. I don't think I'm gonna see what happens with the dice. We'll see. I think there's a backup for maybe Algie as well, trying to find some information. So choose 3 Ds. Gather information. Roll
3 dice gather information. That's it.
That's all right.
A 4. You get good details. Clarifying and follow-up questions are possible. So you attach a number of these trackers, and like I'm almost imagining you've got like a crystal ball type thing, and in my head at least it's almost a bit of a like Aliens like Pip. And you're just seeing these dots kind of moving around the orb, and like quickly, like between you and Asma, you're like drawing the directions that the rats are, the dots are going in. So you start to get this kind of this rudimentary map of the tunnels beneath the streets. And yes, you're absolutely right. There are moments where the dots suddenly like stop and then seemingly like try to go back on themselves, and then there's a lot of like frantic movement in one spot, then the spot doesn't move for a little while, and then it carries on moving in like particular directions. But yeah, you get a relatively usable map of sorts. You're able to, I'm assuming you're releasing these relatively near the prison, so at least the tunnels will correlate. Okay, go.
Yeah.
So yeah, you feel that in actual fact the map that you've got would give you think you know this, like if you follow this particular route, it will get you out to the exit point, whatever point that may be. Have you got any questions?
I don't know why, but when you just said Hollow Man in the tunnels, I imagine a really large something for some reason. I think it's a big guy.
Big metal man or something.
Yeah.
A big Frankenstein monster.
Like a juggernaut. But
oh, yeah.
Composite. Composed of many people and bits. I could be completely wrong. So I guess I'm looking to see if any rats move particularly slowly. I think Atta would have paid attention, done some tests back at Cadwallader by doing some little mazes. I'm so sorry, everyone that doesn't enjoy animal testing. Atta's done a lot of it this campaign, so I'm not.
It's a very short circle of life down the sewers.
Certainly is.
I feel like watching the dots, it would be difficult to know what the rats are kind of slowing down for, and so on and so forth. I guess what I'll offer in exchange is you notice one pip in particular that you ponder for a moment, why is this one just not moving for quite some time? Why is it kind of lurking around the same area but not really kind of straying out? But then you kind of as you turn the orb away from you, rotate it away from you, you realize that it seems to be going down. And it's going down further than you're expecting it to before it disappears. So the other rats are moving on a relatively on the Y scale. They're all moving on relatively the same plane, but yeah, there's just one that just seems to be descending down further and further and further before it vanishes.
Fascinating. Okay. I make Asma a cup of tea. We have a natter, and all is well. I think the other thing I'm interested in doing, I don't know whether this is I think this might end up being a flashback as opposed to a gather information, but I suppose I know that we notice that the crown has some kind of effect, and I think it was one of the gems, not the crown piece.
It's like a focusing iris, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sort of wondering if well, it's not really a gather information as much as it is. There needs to be a way that gem kind of comes with us.
I mean, you could certainly remove it with a tinker, and then based on how you do that dictates the state that it's in, for example.
Yeah, I guess that's the only other thing, in preparation of going, without flashback as we're going. I think somebody's got to have that gem on them, perhaps, and it either needs to be the team Red Eyes or team normal eyes. Team. Yeah. So yeah, happy to. Tinker to get it.
Okay. Tell you what, roll me a quick controlled standard tinker. Again, you can push yourself, and then that will give us an idea of what the state of this focusing iris is in.
Pushing is 2 stress, right?
Correct.
I will push myself. Let's do it. Controlled standard. There we go. Don't beef it out of... Oh, okay.
5. Okay. You successfully remove this central focusing ruby from the crown of Antalya. And it doesn't seem to be damaged in any way. you do wonder if there might be some unexpected side effects if you were to use it outside of its kind of magical framing. But in of itself, it works absolutely fine. Like you haven't cracked it or anything. Yeah.
I kind of want to use some of the stained glass or some of the various broken bits of Algernon's family heirlooms to kind of make it still look like a crown.
Sure. Okay. Algernon, what are you doing?
I would like to go and see Fairfax, and I think Magpie should come along. It's time you met the old boy, Magpie.
The famous Fairfax.
Enigmatic and exciting rogue.
That's
from my
really
school
not.
days.
That's really not how you've described him before.
True to form, Magpie. The man that sits in front of you, like he stands up from his like street bench and sort of like gives you a hand to shake. Oh, hello, yes, Magpie. And he is every bit the wet lettuce that you've come to assume him to be.
All damp eyes and limp handshake.
Yes, it is the feeblest handshake you've ever. Like it's one of those like
no.
kind of thing. But yeah, he turns to you, Algernon, and I wasn't expecting you to be bringing company. How can I help you?
Well, I've bought you a present this time, old boy. And I have a little neatly tied package, which I gift to him.
He looks at you curiously. Magpie, you notice that Fairfax doesn't strike you as a man that usually gets gifts from Algernon, based off his facial expression. Oh, yeah, or anyone, to be fair. And he, but I don't know what to say. Thank you, Algie, he says, as he begins to like open the undoes the bow, and then pulls the paper apart. What is in the gift?
It's a nice little hamper of different kinds of mushroom. You've got king oyster, lion's mane, and of course double portobello. Things that I've been harvesting on our adventures, Fairfax, just as a thank you between you and me.
He looks genuinely pleased. Like Magpie, he looks more pleased than a man that's just been handed a hamper of mushrooms has any right to be. But he looks up and thank you, Algernon. I really appreciate this. I'm sure she at home will be thrilled to have all of these gourmet ingredients.
Yes, your lovely wife.
I
hope to meet her someday. Now, do you have... Apologies, I'm a little bit tired. I've been burning the midnight oil. Do you have the plans that I asked for you? The ones of Belltower prison and the underground areas beneath it?
Yes, I do, he says. Are we considering this your gather information?
Sure.
What ability did you use to convince Fairfax to dig this out?
I'm going to consort.
Sure. Okay, yeah. 2 dice consort from the gather information on the left then?
Oh, yeah.
Oh dear.
In which case, I did get you the plans. Although I would be, I wouldn't be one to venture down into the sewers myself, Algernon, but these were drawn from before all of this, he says, like one hand holding the hamper, the other hand just kind of waving around. It's difficult to say what the structural integrity and state of the sewers are now. Now that we're, getting wrenched from the ground and hurled into oblivion, could really do a number on the underground tunnels. You understand? This will give you some idea of what used to be, but it might not be what is currently.
Well, thank you anyway, Fairfax. Please, you can hand them to my associate.
He
Not yet.
nods and...
Not yet. You can wait till they're watching.
Have you clued him in on this bit? You have. Okay. In which case, he looks to you and... and then gives you a wink.
That chap on the bench over there, reading the treatise, you see it's the issue from 3 days ago. And the crossword isn't that hard, old boy.
You see Fairfax just sort of like blink and like somewhat unsubtly like look over his shoulder at the bench. And he does the thing where he kind of looks over, squints, and then like is surprised when he realizes that it is in fact a 3-day-old treatise. And he turns around and it's mesmerizing. It's incredible that you're able to notice these sorts of things, Algernon.
Play it cool, Fairfax, and play along. Apologies if I get a little bit method.
What do you mean method? He says, and there's a slight panic that spreads across his face. Magpie, you noticed that the EIC agent sat on the bench just slightly down the way, has like bent down one corner of the paper to sort of like get us ever so slightly better view, but appears to be watching you.
Yes, no doubt. This was all in the plan. I'm just used to this. Like when Fairfax goes, it's wonderful the way you can notice everything. Magpie just sort of sighs because she's like, don't encourage him.
Is this the point that you are giving Fairfax the cue? Yeah. In which case, like as you kind of, as you give him the wordless cue, Fairfax, oh yes, and then somewhat reliving his glory days in the amateur dramatics society that he used to be a part of, he sort of like takes the blueprints that he's holding, puts them under his shoulder, under his armpit, and then slowly like turns his body to backwards pass them off to you, Magpie. And then just sort of like looks left, looks right, gives you a nod, and then in the most uncharacteristic Fairfax thing you've ever seen him do, he pops his jacket collar up, and then like saunters past you back in the direction of his the architecture building.
I'm worried about Fairfax. How are we going to make sure he's not arrested?
I think Mrs. Fairfax is going to have a good night tonight.
As on cue as it can be, the EIC agent slowly stands, folds the newspaper, folds the treatise, and leaves it on the bench, and then begins tailing, like walking in your direction. As he approaches, what do the two of you do?
I guess this is part of the plan. Do we want to pretend like we're about to run?
I spot the agent coming, and I turn to Fairfax and I shout, "Are you traitor?" Fairfax, old boy.
Fairfax, who's still within earshot, stops, turns, and wait, what? He says, looking somewhat confused. But he sort of like yelps as you go to, like, as you start to move towards him, Algernon, before you're like from a street corner, what you recognize to be another EIC agent kind of like slides in front of you, and she bars your way, and she looks to you, looks you dead in the eye, and "You're not going anywhere, Sunshine," she says. And from behind her, you see, like, filtering, thankfully, past Fairfax are a number of Abbotsgate City Guard that begin converging on your location.
Boy.
And this EIC agent looks at the two of you, looks at you specifically, Algernon, and "I thought I recognised a pretty face like yours," she says, and she pulls out a copy of the wanted poster that's been up since the raising the Red Ruby Keep. And she turns to look at you, Magpie, and possibly, well, I suspect this would be the first time that you've experienced it, but she looks you dead in the eye and then tucks, sneers slightly, and then looks back, like looks from the two of you to Sanguivar in front of her.
Wow.
By order of the late... Who would they be arresting people in the name of now?
Blimey. That's a really good point.
I suppose they would still be arresting people in Algarve's name, wouldn't they?
Yeah, why not?
Sure, why
not?
Why not? In the name of the late Marshal, you're under arrest. You may not, you need not say anything, but anything you do say, and she begins to spiel off the lines as these like assigned city guard begin kind of rough handling you, like turning you around, Magpie, you like feel your arm get cranked right behind your back, and as you hear the click of shackles. And whilst the EIC agents have some kind of decorum of have some decorum about them, the guards are kind of sneering and jeering like street level thugs. And like they roughly push you to begin you moving, and you can see Algernon, there are a number of people kind of gathered around watching these two Sanguivar getting arrested on the streets. And you hear like sounds of cries of protest from some of the gathered crowd as the two of you are carted away, and like you see some of the guard begin to disperse and kind of pacify the crowd with sort of like violent, sudden movements to kind of usher them back to whatever it was they were doing.
And the whole time I'm in irons, I'm sort of frothing and shouting my rage. How dare you cross me? I told you my threats were not empty. Your employer will know all your dirty little secrets, and your wife too.
Okay. I
want to make it seem like I've been blackmailing him to do all this, and he's innocent.
For sure. In which case, you see the like the first EIC agent that was sat on the bench. The last thing you see is him approaching Fairfax and putting sort of like a consoling arm around his shoulder and kind of leading him away. And within the space of the next hour, in a flurry of activity, the two of you find yourself being publicly paraded through the streets on the way to St. Hollow. And again, there are more kind of cries of protest from some of the buildings as you pass, but Magpie, horrifyingly, you also hear like cheers of celebration as you're carted away. And I mean, Algernon, arguably you've kind of had experience of this kind of treatment in the past, but Magpie, for you, it's new. You've never experienced this kind of ostracization before. And before long, you find yourself in Saints Hollow, the gates of the prison closing behind you before you're taken in for processing. You're stripped of your belongings and clothing. You're handed the tattiest, dirtiest looking rag clothing that you've seen in some considerable time. But you note that it is like they're just almost sort of like burlap shorts with a striped top, a yellow and black striped top. And as what name do you give them, Magpie?
Probably something similar, but not quite like my crew name, like Marjorie or something like that.
Sure. In which case, yeah, you notice that like your names are written down in like a large ledger that seems to have quite a lot of fresh ink in it from recent times. Before once processing is finished, you're effectively tossed out into the yard, which is the large kind of open area that sits between the two main building, like two prison complex buildings, and adjacent to like another yard that is cordoned off, presumably for the large hole that is dug in the center of it that leads down into the tunnels under Elysia, that you know as the descent.
Do we see all the vines that have grown over Belltower?
Yes, absolutely. And you notice that there seems to be there's a certain uneasiness amongst the prisoners and the guards. I mean, the place looks very kind of dark and grim anyway, but even more so with this almost like birdcage style vine arrangement over it. But you remark at how the purple light of the void refracts through the blood red crystal that juts from it like, overgrown thorns. But yeah, as the two of you are just kind of thrown into the yard to fend for yourself, you notice that many other of the inmates begin looking at the fresh meat that's just arrived.
Question about the inmates. Are we in a special section of Belltower that's for the sanguivar, or is it everybody is mixed up?
So currently you're just like in the yard.
Okay. Sure.
But you notice that there are groups of people. Perhaps Algernon, you would recognise some of them as like members of the cobbles that have been picked up for various kind of petty street crimes here and there. You see a couple of other. You see people that presumably are just kind of trapped in a brutal like cycle of being processed, like doing time in Belltower, coming out, not being able to survive without crime, and then getting rearrested and getting put back into Belltower. So they're just on this treadmill of processing. They have that. Some of them have a look about them of defeat. They've just kind of accepted that this is what life is for them now. You notice some of them look angry. Some of them look like caged animals, waiting, like pacing, as if waiting for a moment to escape. But you do notice that perhaps one of the larger groups, their overalls don't look as grimy as everyone else's, and they're all joined in union by their red eyes.
I kind of look to Algernon almost as if to sort of, because I imagine Algernon has a much better handle on this situation. Magpie is doing everything she can not to cry right now, frankly. She's really horrified and scared. Like she wanted to do this because this was important to her, but she's never been through anything like this before. So she kind of almost looks to Algernon before rushing over to the sanguivar group, almost as if to say, is this okay?
I think Algernon just puts a little hand on Magpie's shoulder to comfort her a little bit, ground her. Just remember to breathe. And believe it or not, there are worse holes than this in the world. I've been in some of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course, it's always been part of the plan.
Algernon, is there a gather information that you want to do while you're here now that you're in? Or Magpie, like a final gather before everything kicks off?
I would like to get a read on the Sanguivar group's hierarchy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking in particular for people I know, specifically Amringer.
Mm-hmm.
And Magpie's, obviously.
And Samuel, yeah.
And yeah, Magpie's looking for Samuel first and foremost.
Okay. If one of you wants to help the other, by all means, tack on a stress and take +1 dice.
What maybe you should do the roll, JC, with you'll probably have good study, whatever it is you're using for this, and I can take a stress to help you with that.
Yeah,
study or survey, I suspect. It might possibly be a survey, but you tell me.
Make it a study.
I would like to study the social hierarchy of these people.
Sure. In which case I suspect that that will involve the two of you just kind of observing the groups that move towards you, the ones that interact with you first. You notice that the Sanguivar are keeping themselves to themselves, which was a thing, but as the two of you keep your eyes open, please roll me a gather information +1 dice for Magpie helping, which will make this a 3 dice.
6.
That's nice.
Good stuff.
Okay. You get exceptional details.
Oh, yeah.
So is it specifically the gangs in general or just the Sanguivar that you're focusing on?
If I'm getting exceptional details, then I might as well get a feed on the more.
So, fundamentally everything I've said works out. There's quite a large number of cobbles held here. You quickly learn that they seem to be at odds with all the people that have been arrested that are from the Kindling. And you've heard that there are frequent scuffles between those kind of groups with their kind of conflicting ideals, but it's nowhere near as outwardly violent as it might be on the streets, given that they've got nowhere to hide from the repercussions. That said, the group of kobolds appears to be led by a member of the Orneshi family that was caught out, and this Majani's kind of native charm and charisma. She's managed to kind of strong arm kobolds into working for her. She's you hear that it's mainly because of her smarts, her head smarts. She knows what needs to be done, how to do it. So we defer to her. When you study the Sanguivar, you do in fact notice that you spot Amringer and both of his daughters. They seem to be keeping largely to themselves, and Amringer kind of rushes over his what you remember to be quite a ornate kind of twirled moustache and kind of well-kept beard. Seems very shaggy and kind of messy. Presumably his grooming schedule, his grooming regimen has slipped somewhat since he was incarcerated. I do say, is that you, Algernon? The Algernon Cadwallader?
Jolly boating weather.
Jolly boating weather indeed. What I would do for a boat to sail away from this place. Come sit with us. I can't believe they've managed to snag you old goat. It's it's good to have you in here, but at the same time, it's awful that you're here. Do you know Penelope? Sorry, Penelope. This is Algernon.
I have not met your lovely daughters. How do you do?
The two girls are barely older than teenage. Like, they are the definition of young adult. And Penelope, it would seem, just sort of like she just hums at you. And the second daughter appears to just be kind of minding her own business. But they seem very dejected with their current state of life.
Your father and I were boys together at Morton.
Penelope nods and, I know. Father would speak about you at our dinners every so often.
My reputation precedes me, and yours, Amringer. I've heard that you grew into a most unremarkable and inoffensive man. And yet, here you are, a notorious prison lag.
Amringer's mood sours as you say that. Well, yes. I mean, ever since I found out that these two were on their way, I thought that it would be silly of me to be doing anything too dangerous. But there's something not right with the city, Algernon. I should introduce you. Well, we Asavar, we're sticking together. I think. Come with me. We'll meet the person that's keeping us all in line.
I'd love to meet them.
And as Amringer leads you through this kind of throng of sanguivar, sat at what is effectively like an outdoor bench, like a picnic bench of sorts, you see one sanguivar man, approximately like in his middle ages, you would reckon, blonde hair swept back, currently cleaning a pair of glasses on his shirt sleeve. And as he places the glasses back on his nose and opens his eyes, revealing the crimson, he turns to look to you two. And Magpie, you recognize Samuel, and he recognizes you. Like, his eyes open wide, and he surges to his feet and like rushes towards you.
I think Magpie's already running towards him and tries to throw her arms around him if he'll let her.
As you go to like throw your arms around him, one of the other sanguivar steps in the way and catches you, and a load of them kind of converge on your location very quickly. And like, you're lost under the sea of sort of like faces and arms that bar your way until you hear, "What are you doing? Let go of her!" And there's a moment of confusion before the sanguivar slowly kind of untangle themselves from you. And it's a smile. You're greeted with a face with that half smile that you grew up feeling safe and secure with. And he looks to you and says, "Oh, Amina, what have you done?" Are there any follow-up questions for either of you two?
I think there probably will be quite a lot, but I needs to discuss with Samuel. But I think in that moment she's just so happy that he's there and he's, well, maybe not safe, but currently okay. And I think she does give him a big hug, and I think she just says, I'm so sorry I wasn't there."
He nods. Algernon, are there any questions, or have there been any kind of contacts that you've reached out to within the prison that will lead us into the plan?
I think it might be good to try and get some kind of inside man within the guard, the prison guard.
What? So someone that's on your side that works for?
Yes.
Okay. In which case, there is in fact a Laravar man that you have been assured is the most dependable sneak that ever sneaked, that has made it a point. Part of Musto's plan was to get this individual planted within the guard and then moved to Belltower to act as the inside man. Sly Tom, you understand his name to be.
One day it's going to turn out all these Toms are the same person.
Or you find out that Tom is the surname and they're all related.
Yes.
Yes, Sly Tom is about and has been given instruction that when the plan is a go, that they will sort of begin to help you start.
Cool. I want to make a subtle contact with Sly Tom, have him jostle me about a little bit.
Sure.
And I'll be like, Musto sends his regards. I'm working for him now.
Tom nods and gives you a grin that shows you the beautiful hole of 3 teeth in the top row of his teeth. And he lets you know that when the time comes, we'll make sure that the gates to the descent are open, so you can begin to make your way down there. Is there anything else that the crew would like to do before we begin our wait for the proposed time of the jailbreak, which I believe will also be heralded by some fiends grade explosions?
Yes. I don't think I can't think of anything right now.
Did we want to send Roth? Roth's a sneaky spy. Maybe
he's
Roth
a sneaky
could
seal. Yes.
Maybe he could see what's going on with the Hollow, if a little bit more detail.
Yeah, I think it's a good use of them.
I think it's a good idea. Can't hurt, can it?
We will roll a 2, because Roth is now tier 2, thanks to you lot being tier 2. So Roth will roll a 2 dice. He rolls a 4. What was it you wanted him to do specifically?
So we know Hollow Man is in the tunnels, but we don't know what Hollow Man is like. Are there any whispers coming out of the various Hollow people going in and out? Are there any detailed drawings a la House of the Dead about where his weak spot is? Red outline.
So I will say the result is mixed. You have limited or partial effect. What I'm going to spin this as is you send Roth off to investigate the rumours of this Hollow Man. And we snap to Roth kind of using his aquatic, submariner style skills to kind of traverse through the sewerways to try and kind of track these track the Hollow down. It's safe in the knowledge that there aren't really going to be any rats swimming. And hearing some curious noises echoing from echoing from the end of the sewer tunnel, Roth approaches, and as he peeks around a corner, but is startled and takes a step back as his face is illuminated with this bright blue glow. And Roth will not be able to come back and tell you until after the mission has begun. So, are we ready to roll the engagement as midnight draws closer?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Ready. So ready.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, first things first, as you all get ready, so from what I gather, well, obviously Magpie and Algernon are inside the bell tower with the gathered sanguivar, who I presume Samuel has been clued in with some of the info of what's about to happen.
Mm-hmm.
The other three of you, where are we finding you three, very specifically?
I guess we're down in the tunnels. Yeah.
Ooh, already in the tunnel.
Or just getting ready to get into the tunnels.
That would make sense.
Okay.
We're doing like the Rambo.
Where is your point of ingress, point of egress? Like, where is the entrance to the tunnels that you're taking?
I guess we'll need to be somewhere close to a canal, so we're close to the boats.
Mm-hmm. I suppose the question is, obviously, the closer you are to the prison, the quicker you will get to the prison, but the further you are from the prison, the less likely you are to encounter any trouble when you emerge.
How about we enter somewhere in, like, Rookridge? Because I feel like Rookridge would be a lot easier to disappear in than, like, Waterside. But, like, as close to the border to Saints Hollow as we can get.
So might I suggest Rookridge on the other side of the river?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
So effectively you're going under the river, the tunnels take you under the river to Saints Hollow. Okay, very good. In which case, we find the three of you at the entrance to the... effectively it's like a storm drain type thing down into the sewers and the tunnels underneath. On the bank of Rookridge by the river, we find Fiends, who's curious as to where Roth's gone, on a barge sailing, like poodling gently along the river by the prison. Whereabouts is she beginning her fireworks display? Like, whereabouts is her distraction striking, or are you keeping that in the back pocket?
We never use the alchemist fire. Did Fiends want to maybe start some kindling rumors?
Oof.
Somewhere on the other side where we're not going to be.
I mean, she could attack the northern point, the most northerly point of the, because the Saints, Bell Tower goes up to the water's edge. So if she were to attack the most northern corner, the descent is in the southwest corner of the prison complex. So you'll be moving away from it anyway. If she were to attack from the water. Okay.
Oh,
so Fiends, Alchemist Fire.
That'd be great, because that would then pin it on them as well. Amazing. Yeah.
Okay. So Fiends is on the barge, ready and waiting. She is giddy with glee that she's been entrusted with these stone burning alchemist fires. Let's have a look at what are your respective loadouts. So starting with Magpie. Well, Magpie and Algernon, I'm going to hard enforce light load.
I'm guessing light because we ain't got nothing on us right now.
Yeah. Then I'm not. Yeah, we can't. We can't pretend anything otherwise.
We might acquire a couple of things on the way, but we start with nothing, presumably.
Sure. Realistically, you're almost going to have to rendezvous with the rest of the crew to get any amount of gear.
Yeah.
That would be out of the ordinary. But for the other three, so Atta, Kavran, Frida, what load is Atta going with? Light, normal, heavy?
Normal.
Okay, so you get, if you empty out your load, and you've got 4 to 5 to play with. Kavran?
I'm going to go with normal as well.
Okay, so again, empty yours out, you've got 4 to 5 to play with. And Frida?
Yeah, also a normal.
Okay, empty out, 4 to
normal.
5.
Which, to be fair, is pretty light for Frida. Usually she's heavy.
The engagement roll.
Oh boy.
We start with 1. Is the operation particularly bold or daring? Yes.
Yes.
Is the operation overly complex or contingent on many factors?
I don't think so. We're just like, do an explosion, get people out the other way.
Do an explosion, wait for someone to leave the gate unlocked, shepherd 40 people in the same direction whilst... I'm going to reduce that back down by 1. Does the plan's detail expose a vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? I'm going to say yes, because arguably one of the least guarded spots in this prison are the death tunnels.
Okay.
They're only death tunnels if you die down there.
Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? No, all the defenders would be like on the walls and the gates, and you're not going that way. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation? Fiends is providing a distraction. That's an additional dice. We're up to 3. Are any enemies or rivals interfering in the operation? Yes. Back down to 2.
No.
Are there any other elements you want to consider? Maybe a lower tier target. So, the guards are the City Watch are tier 3, so they are a higher tier than you. So I think I'm going to reduce that back down by another 1. So we have a 1 dice roll.
Ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Do you want to do the honours?
I'll do the honours.
Okay.
It's all...
Please make me a 1 dice engagement roll.
It's all part of the plan.
Wait.
Oh, 6! I was
Okay.
not expecting that.
Okay. In which case, you are starting in a controlled position. As you hear the bells of Spire Park ring out to signify midnight, the 12th chime is chorused by the sounds of explosions along the northern walls of the prison, and the sky illuminates in bright orange as alchemist fires are launched over the walls from your barge, and Algernon, you've almost counted down to the exact second when you hear the first crash and explosion, and you can almost hear Fiends giggling as she fires this makeshift trebuchet that's launching these alchemist fires over the walls. As you see the guards scrabbling and panicking, like, bring water! You hear them crying. You see a number of the guards kind of moving towards the north to deal with whoever it is that's launching fire over the walls. Is it the kindling? Is it the kindling? You hear them shouting. And Samuel looks to you, acknowledging that this is the moment that the plan begins. But then you start to hear more cries from the guards. What? Who are they? Who are they? Who are they? But you notice that these are guards loitering around on the south walls and near the gate. And as the group of you begins moving through the through the prison estate, you can see some of the guards like on the walls, and they've got their crossbows and they're beginning to fire down into the streets of Saint Hollow. But then you watch as one of the guards is blasted from the walls by a ray of bright white light. And as the guard plummets, and you hear a crack as he hits the floor of the prison yard, you hear one of them shout, "It's the children of Aya! It's the children of Aya!"
Oh no.
And you hear a loud and clear of a horn spurring the adherents of the faith to action. And you hear the sounds of battle on the other side of the prison wall by the front gates. You see, at this moment, you hear the sounds of what appear to be grappling hooks, like clicking over the edge of the prison wall. And as the 40 of you or so make it into the second area where the entrance to the descent is, you begin to notice people scaling the walls, dressed in white and yellow tabards of the Children of Aya, and red and yellow tabards of the Shield Bearers. And behind you, you see a all-out pitched battle explode through the prison complex. As you hear the sounds, there's another blast of light from the front gates, and you hear the wood shattering under whatever magic was just aimed at it. And you see a number of clerics adorned in full battle armor charging into the yard and seemingly heading straight towards the cell areas that you were in perhaps 10 minutes ago. And as a skirmish between the prison guards and the faith begins, interspersed with sounds of explosions of alchemist fire that are being launched over the walls, let's take a break.
Right then.
If you liked what you heard and if you like what you heard, leave us a like and comment down below on who's your money on in this little ruckus. And if you want to find out if you were correct, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon for notifications of when we release new videos. We're releasing loads of them really frequently, and we wouldn't want you to miss out because there's just so much, so much. You will never get bored.
Can I just say, I do not like what I just heard.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for playing. See you in a bit.
Bye.
Bye.